So we are live now. Now let's start this way. That there are certain very crucial aspects as regard the preparation for the history optional subject for the civil services exam. Okay. And before starting the topic proper, we will have 4 or 5 lectures on these crucial aspects. Fine. The first crucial aspect, what we have picked up for today's lecture is timeline, importance of timeline in the preparation of history optional subject. Okay. So you can consider somewhat like this, that this is the first lecture on the crucial aspect, and the first crucial aspect is importance of timeline. Okay. If you have to define history, I don't know how do you define history. The best way to define history is that the history is a record of past events. Simple. Okay. And it represents elements of changes and continuity. Fine. The moment we say it represents elements of changes and continuity, it involves chronology. And chronology is essentially timeline. Okay. This means timeline is a hallmark of history. So your preparation must revolve around timeline. In various ways you can use timeline. I'm going to give you the idea, right? And with examples. And finally, the lesson you have to take from this lecture is that how to prepare history optional subject following the timeline. How timeline has to be used in faster understanding and in the smooth preparation. How timeline has to be used in answer writing as well. Besides, one more important thing, you will find there are certain questions that are based on timeline. That if you are well aware of the timeline, only then you can answer them. Okay. Now, take a look at this slide. I have said there are various ways you have to use timeline. These are the various ways. 1, 2, 6. This simply means like 1. Intertopics. That simply means timeline can be used linking more than 2 topics or 2 or more topics. Second one, big topic. Timeline can be used in a very big topic, the huge one. Timeline can be used in a small topic. Timeline can be used within topic, that is intra-topic. Fifth is also inter-topic, that means timeline can be used within topic but even in a micro issue. And last is that the facts also can be converted into timeline for a faster and more effective preparation. So these are 6 ways you have to use timeline. Is it okay? When you prepare, I think, of course, you follow timeline, but I don't think you follow that very effectively. So this is the message what I want to give you, that now onwards when you study history, you study this in the light of timeline. Okay, and what is the importance of this? Finally, I have said for faster preparation. Second, for more effective preparation. Third, question could be based on timeline. Fourth, you can draw timeline in your answers. That is a kind of value addition. Okay, so let's discuss one by one. Number 1, intertopics. That simply means timeline is just not involved with respect to one particular topic, because small. It is involved beyond topic as well. And when we say beyond topic, That means it could be linked to 2 topics, 3 topics, 4 topics, even 5 topics, 6 topics. Let's take one example. I think I should take some simple example so that you can understand them well. Okay. Into topics. Number 1. We take one example. I think that is a very popular example. All of you must have read, even in GS, I think. In GS, you read temple architecture. Okay. There you read styles. One style you read is Dravida style. Okay. Now, let's consider Dravida style. Of temple architecture as one example to understand the use of timeline beyond one topic. Okay. Now, let's discuss this. Maybe you are aware. If you are not aware, Dravida style originated here in 7th century C in far south under the Pallavas. Okay. And it grew under the Pallavas till 9th century C, roughly, or roughly mid of 9th century C. Okay. Now, one topic is involved here, that is the Pallavas. I am writing in short. Pallavas. Okay. Now, here all the basic features of Dravida style, all the basic features of Dravida style developed. Alright. Then Dravida style grew further. Now, the second topic gets involved here, that is the Cholas. Nine to 12th century C. Here we find the further evolution of these basic features. Evolution of these basic features. Okay. Maybe you are aware of some basic features. In a very simple way, we can say one basic feature is Vimana. Maybe you are aware. Even if you are not aware, it's okay. We'll discuss in detail when we start the topic, right? Right now, my idea is not to teach you the topic. I'm not teaching you temple architecture or Dravida temple architecture under Pallavas or Cholas. Rather, I'm giving you the idea how to use timeline. Okay? So, I'm precise, brief, not getting deeper into details. Alright? So, one is Vimana, one is Prakara, that is the boundary wall, one is Gopuram, that is the gateway, and one is many temples, subsidiary temples, one main temple and many smaller temples within the boundary wall, and other structures like Mandap, for example, what you have said. Okay, these are the basic features. Here we find evolution, but in this evolution there was a focus on Vimana. So Vimana became a focus under the Cholas, and maybe you are aware, the tallest Vimana was constructed during this time. That is in Brihadeswar temple, Tanjore or Thanjavur, that was the capital of the Cholas. That means here focus was not on the other structures, rather the focus was on Vimana. So see, second topic gets involved. Now see, the third topic will get involved now. 12th, 13th century. See, another ruling house, the Pandyas. Dravida style, yes, evolved further. Further evolution of this. But here the focus was Gopuram, that is the gateway. That means the focus shifted to periphery rather than the center. And they constructed many Gopurams taller than the Gopurams constructed during this time. So third topic get involved. Now the fourth topic. 14th century C to 16th century C. During Vijayanagar kingdom. Further evolution of the Dravidian style. And the focus in this evolution was what we call horizontal elaboration. See, under Chola's focus was height. Under Vijayanagar focus was horizontal expansion, means larger prakaras that we call boundary wall, more structures within, more gopurams and even higher gopurams. And many new structures also emerged during this time. Maybe you have heard one structure, Aman. There was a separate shrine for the goddess. Maybe you have heard of the structure Kalyan Mandap, Utsav Mandap, Maharang Mandap, 1000 pillar Mandap. This way many new structures emerge. But one more point is there. Some of these structures has already emerged here, like 1000 pillar Mandap had emerged here. But that became more popular. And some new ones also emerged. So focus here was horizontal elaboration. Horizontal expansion. So how many topics get involved? 4 topics. One more topic get involved. Now 16th, 17th century. The period of the Nayaks. Nayaks were the powerful military commanders under the Vijayanagar ruler. And in the wake of the decline of the Vijayanagar kingdom, many Nayaks became autonomous and some Nayaks contributed to further evolution of the Dravidian style. So what all they did here, focus was what? Here focus was Gopuram. Tallest Gopurams were constructed here. Like I have said, the tallest Vimana constructed here under the Cholas, that is about 200 feet. And the tallest Gopuram constructed here, that also reached the height about 200 feet. So we consider this the mature phase of the construction of Gopurams. This is the evolution of Dravidian style, marked by many phases, and these phases are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. The 5 topics get involved: the Pallavas, the Cholas, the Pandyas, the Vijayanagar kingdom, and the Nayaks. It's the one beautiful example of timeline into topics, moving beyond the topic. Now, if the same thing we discuss, giving proper time, giving around suppose 2 hours, same thing, so things should be crystal clear. It is the way we can prepare in a faster way, in a more effective way. In one go, you understand them all. In one go, you understand the elements of changes and continuity. In one go, you understand Dravidite style under Pallavas, under Cholas, under Pandyas, under Vijayanagar, under Nayaks. Plus I have said, there could be a question based on timeline. Maybe you have a question. Assume a question. Discuss the evolution of Dravidite style from 7th century to 12th century or in medieval Indian history. Discuss the evolution of Dravidite style from 9th to 17th century. So these are the questions based on timeline, and you cannot answer them without this knowledge this way. Plus one more thing I have said, you can use the similar kind of timeline diagram in your answer. If you have a question, for example, discuss the evolution of Dravidite style from 9th century to 17th century. So you will be writing the answer, plus you will be doing one more thing, starting from here, ending here. Roughly similar kind of diagram you can draw with the value addition in your answer, focusing on what changes took place, like Vimana. Focus on Vimana, focus on Gopuram, horizontal expansion, Gopuram. So this represents the evolution from 9 to 17. I hope you get this example, and through this example you understand how we can use timeline beyond one particular topic. Now the lesson is what for you? The lesson is that when you study history, when you prepare history, then there you be particular that if you find that the changes, the elements of changes continue to go beyond the topic, connect with that. Even beyond that, connect with that. Even beyond that, connect with that. In one go, you try to understand. Because the questions are also getting complex every year. Have you seen the prelim question? Yesterday, prelim question. After seeing the question, what do you realize? You must have realized, what is this? Has UPSC gone mad? What they're asking? How to answer them? How to prepare? And plus, if you connect them with your classes, if you're attending some classes anywhere, so you'll be surprised like what things are there in the classes and what things are there in the question. There's a big gap, world apart. One is North Pole, one is South Pole. So on the basis of those classes, how you can answer them? This is one remedy for that. I mean, related to history, I'm saying. With the way questions are occurring in prelim, in main, everywhere. So we'll have to be mentally prepared in advance. Considering that level may be higher. And if level may be higher, so accordingly you have to also prepare on a higher level. This is one example of higher level. I think you don't prepare like this. You prepare like this. Pallavas you prepare separately, Cholas separately somewhere else, Vijayanagar somewhere else, Nayaks you never prepare, and of course Pandyas you never prepare. So certain things you don't prepare, certain things you prepare in isolation, that will become a problem in the exam. For example, like yesterday's prelim question, many things you saw there you never heard. So it's something like Pandyas, because your idea of preparation of Dravida is Pallavas, Cholas, Vijayanagar, over. But Nags are also there, Pandyas are also there. And nowadays the trend is that the questions are on less popular themes. Means Cholas losing importance, Pandyas becoming more important. But UP also knows that you don't prepare this. Okay? Right. So this is fine. First one is okay. I mean, very clear. If you want, you can click this also. Keep on clicking everything, and at home sit properly and write. I mean, whenever you get proper time. So if everything is with you, you will be more comfortable. Now let's move to the second one, the big topic. So if you have a look at the syllabus, you will find that there are some topics, they are quite big. There are some topics, they are small. I've separated them here. Timeline is involved in big topic, a small topic. I mean the whole of the topic. I'm not talking about a part of the topic. Big topic means the whole of the topic. Timeline is involved. A small topic means whole of the topic, timeline is involved. Okay. Let's take one example, one big topic. Russian Revolution. Also a popular topic. World history, you have studied this, right? Maybe you have read about Lenin, maybe you have read about Stalin. Okay? So this is a big topic. It spans over a long period. Now what I want to say is that timeline has to be used in big topic that involves entire topic rather than a part of the topic. Okay? Let's discuss this now. Russian Revolution, as the name suggests, a revolution took place in Russia. That's why known as Russian Revolution. Okay. In the world history class, we'll discuss this in detail. Right now, my aim is to give you the idea of timeline, how involved. In Russia, one revolution took place in 1905. Okay. We are not discussing here the causes of the revolution. Our concern is to show you give you the idea of the timeline. So one revolution took place in Russia in 1905. Of course, this was early 20th century, so the background of this revolution was provided by the conditions in Russia in 19th century, particularly second half of 19th century. Okay, so the conditions of Russia in the second half of 19th century provided background for a revolution that took place in 1905. Now, this revolution created, you might be knowing the ruler of Russia known as Tsar. This created a pressure on Tsar because the people wanted reforms or the changes in the system. Okay. So Tsar was under pressure and he made a reconciliation with the revolutionaries and promised reforms, and he started introducing reforms as well. But reforms were not adequate, so people got dissatisfied again and revolutionary sentiments emerged again. That led to another revolution in 1917. In February, March. 2 months I am writing because this is based on two calendars. February based on Russian calendar and March based on English calendar what we use. Okay. This revolution ended the rule of Tsar and a provisional government was formed, and now people expected under the provisional government reforms would be introduced. They wanted certain changes, but this did not happen. They were dissatisfied again, and this was the time when Lenin, a Marxist revolutionary, began to play a role. He mobilized the people, the workers, the peasants and others, and led them to a revolution, what we call October-November Revolution 1917. So one more revolution took place, 1917, October-November, again based on two calendars. This way, one by one, three revolutions took place. Revolution 1, that created a pressure on Tsar. He promised reform, began to introduce some reforms, but they were not adequate. Revolution 2, that ended the rule of Tsar. Revolution 3, led by Lenin, and Lenin was the leader of a party, Bolshevik party. So Bolsheviks played important role in this revolution. So we call this revolution Bolshevik Revolution also. Bolshevik Revolution. And Lenin was a Marxist socialist. So we call this Socialist Revolution as well. This means R3 was Bolshevik Revolution. This was a Socialist Revolution motivated by the Marxist idea, and whose leader was Lenin. Okay. As a result of R3, Russia became communist. Okay, and Lenin became its leader. This was almost end of 1917. 18 onwards, what happened? 1918 onwards, a civil war began in Russia. Because there were some other groups in Russia, they did not appreciate Bolsheviks coming to power. So they started fighting against the Bolshevik. So civil war began. Civil war refers to a war within the country. So this was a war between Bolsheviks and anti-Bolsheviks. Okay, but the anti-Bolsheviks were given help by the Allied forces, because you might be knowing this was the period when the First World War was also going on, and Allied forces were moving around. And Allied forces were who? They were all capitalists, and capitalists were anti-communist. So they also didn't appreciate. So a war began during this time. That was a civil war essentially. Plus at the same time, Lenin began to introduce communism in Russia. This means socio-economic changes based on communism or on communist lines. That's why we call this period, 18 onwards, the period of war communism. And this period is 1821. In the war, Bolsheviks were successful. They defeated the anti-Bolsheviks and they could save their revolution. But communism failed because Russia was a backward country. In such a backward situation, when Lenin introduced communism in a one go, in full-fledged way, it collapsed. Economy collapsed. So he realized it was a mistake. He withdrew communism and started a new policy, what is known as new economic policy, NEP in 21. So 21 onwards, a new phase begins in Russia. That is the phase of NEP, new economic policy. Now, NEP produced some good results. Besides, during this time, onwards, Lenin introduced some more changes. His party was Bolshevik party. That's why we call this Bolshevik. He changed the name. He made Bolshevik party Communist party. So Bolsheviks came to be known as communist. He reorganized Russia in 1922 and Russia became USSR. So 1922 onwards, we don't use the term Russia, rather USSR. And he founded Comintern, that is Communist International, whose aim was to bring about communist revolution across the world. So some more changes introduced, as I have said. Bolshevik Communist Party in 19, Comintern in 19, USSR in 22. Lenin died in 1924. So which phase is the phase of the role of Lenin in Russia? This phase. And Lenin is known as the father of socialism in Russia and the architect of socialist revolution in Russia. This SR, that is Socialist Revolution, is known as the first socialist revolution in Russia because the second one also took place. And Lenin died in 24, I have said, but NEP was continued. There was some struggle for the leadership. Finally, Stalin emerged as a leader. When Stalin emerged as a leader, NEP was dropped. Now we are here, 27, 28. NEP was dropped and new policy introduced. Under those new policies, one very important is the ideology, communism or socialism in one country. There is a new ideology introduced by Stalin. That simply means Lenin wanted that revolution. Lenin's idea was that the revolution in Russia will trigger similar revolution elsewhere. So whole world will become communist. They will give support to communism in Russia. Stalin said that without international revolution, we will establish socialism within Russia. This is the ideology, socialism in one country. And from this ideology emanates what is known as economic Stalinism. That was characterized by 5-year plan, maybe you are aware. Nehru also introduced in India, influenced by that. Industrialization, railways, all under state control. And he made the party, the Bolshevik party that had become Communist party, supreme, to establish dictatorship of the party. And he created a totalitarian regime. This means USSR under Stalin became a totalitarian and dictatorial regime. Now here the timeline is till Stalin was there in power, but we normally consider till the beginning of the Second World War, that is 1939. Now this phase here is the phase when Stalin played a role. And this is given the name so-called, or this can be considered so-called Second Socialist Revolution. Second Socialist Revolution. Why? First was here under Lenin. Okay. Now consider the size of the topic, the big one. You will have to start from 19th century. '19th century to 1939. So the huge one. Entire topic covered through timeline. See, conditions in 19th century: R1, R2, R3, war communism, NEP, socialism in one country, economic Stalinism, dictatorship of party, totalitarian regime, the second socialist revolution, role of Lenin, role of Stalin, Russia after R3, Russia after R2, Russia after R1, USSR under Stalin, USSR under Lenin, role played by Lenin, role played by Stalin. So many issues are there that could become a question. And we can cover everything through the timeline. I've discussed this in 15-20 minutes. And in the class, it will take 3-4 hours. So 3-4 hours discussion on this. So everything becomes crystal clear. Beginning till end. So see, a big topic. Now you think of anything related to Russian Revolution, that is there. Anything related to Russian Revolution. Plus many more things what you don't do. For example, you don't do socialism in one country. You never study the so-called Second Socialist Revolution. You're not interested in economic Stalinism. You're not interested in war communism separately. Maybe you're not aware USSR, Comintern, Bolshevik converted into. In general, you study causes and the impact of the Russian Revolution. That is too simplistic. I've already said, see the question. And yesterday's question paper is the eye-opener, I think. So when the prelim is like this, what will be the scenario in main? So but we can handle them. How? Because if we are aware that okay, this is the level we have to attain, and accordingly we work, so we can handle. We can address even those things. And those who are qualifying, they are addressing them. So I hope this is okay. How one big topic could be covered in the light of timeline. I've already said you may have a question on timeline as well. Here also you may have a question. Throw light on the development in Russia after the first socialist revolution. Then your answer is here onwards. And this is your answer. Throw light on development in Russia after first socialist revolution. You may have a question. Compare the first socialist revolution and the second socialist revolution in Russia. I remember one question. That question was, how did Stalin, build upon the legacy of Lenin? So how did Stalin build upon the legacy of Lenin? So this is the legacy of Lenin. How did he build upon? This way. Is it okay? Getting this? You want to click? Keep on clicking so that at home when you sit, you can get the idea how to use timeline in your preparation. Now the third one is a small topic. This is very logical now. When it is possible in big topic, might be possible in a small topic as well. But a small topic doesn't mean just topic. Everything. You take one topic, your popular topic, Indus Valley Civilization. The small one, not very big. Or Harappan civilization is more appropriate term. So entire Harappan civilization topic through timeline. This way. Take a look. So we'll have to start from here. 7000 BC. The first evidence of the existence of farming culture from Mehergarh. This culture represents the Neolithic cultural pattern in the northwest. So existence of farming culture in northwest. Because of favorable environmental condition and its exploitation, this farming culture grew. And this period onwards, this enters a new phase. What is given the name early Harappan or early Harappan culture. Early Harappan cultures represent the precursor of Harappan civilization. We have so many evidences of early Harappan culture, like from Kot Dizi, Nal, Kuli, Amri, etc., etc. And this phase is 3200 to 1900 BC. The characteristic features of these early Harappan cultures, they resemble, many of these features resemble with the Harappan civilization. So now it is established in archaeological study that Harappan civilization evolved out of this. So these many early Harappan cultures got evolved into what is given the name mature Harappan, beginning 1900 BC. Mature Harappan represent not a culture, rather a civilization. And this is Harappan civilization. Matured Harappan phase continues till, oh sorry, this is not 1900, 26. This is 2600, right? So this continues till 1900 BC. This means by 1900 BC, the mature Harappan phase comes to an end. This was the phase of civilization, and civilization is always associated with urbanization. This represents the phase of first urbanization in India. End of mature Harappan means end of first urbanization. All urban features came to an end. Bigger structures, towns, cities, standard weights and measures, highly developed art, craft, script, various aspects of town planning all came to an end by this time. But everything did not come to an end. Urban features came to an end, others continued. What is given the name late Harappan? But this was not a civilization, this was a culture. So we call it late Harappan culture. A late Harappan culture is in fact what? This is a continuation of this phase without urban manifestation. Without urban features, other things continued. This cultural pattern continues till about 1300 BC. This means by 1300 BC, late Harappan cultural phase came to the end, but the elements continued further. Even into historical times, even some elements are present today as well. This is what we call survival and continuity of the elements of Harappan civilization. This we now see the phases here. Neolithic farming communities to early Harappan culture, to matured Harappan culture, civilization, what we call Harappan civilization. So this phase represents Harappan civilization to late Harappan culture to further continuity. So see, this is the entire topic. The same thing if we discuss in 3, 4, 5 hours, so things should be crystal clear. I've said, again I'm repeating, similar things. That question could be on timeline as well. If you have any question on rise and growth of Harappan civilization, so you will have to write like this. This represents rise and growth of Harappan civilization. You may have question on matured Harappan, you may have question on late Harappan, you may have question on early Harappan, you may have question on cultural evolution theory. So cultural evolution theory is what? Starting from here till here, there is a cultural evolution. You may have a statement that Harappan civilization represent a product of a long-term cultural evolution. Comment. So yes, it represents a long-term cultural evolution. So this is an example of a smaller topic. Now you compare this one and this one. So don't think this appears bigger one in chronology wise also. But entire big topic can be covered. Here also entire topic can be covered. So example of a small topic is also okay, I hope. Right? Now the next, you want to click it? Now the next one is intra-topic. That is within a topic. Right? Within a topic. I mean one topic within a topic. One big topic within that. And fifth one is different. This is also intra-topic but very small issue, micro issue. I want to distinguish between them. Like intra-topic, you take one topic, big one, Indian national movement for example. So Indian national movement is a big topic. And you consider one movement within. Suppose Quit India movement for example. Right? So if we consider Quit India movement, this is one movement under Indian national movement. Indian national movement will come under two, even bigger than Russian Revolution. And again that can be covered through timeline. Starting from this can be covered this way. Starting from 1885 with the foundation of Indian National Congress. The national movement began and this culminated to freedom and partition in 1947. So this entire can be covered through the timeline. Now within this entire, one movement is Quit India movement, 1942. Movement began, that is Quit India movement. So Quit India movement is one good example of intra-topic. Is it very clear? Okay. Now when you study Quit India movement, you we study just causes, impact and all. See how timeline is involved here. I'm going to discuss this. As you have come to know, and you know I think, Quit India movement began in 1942, ended by early 1943. It was the shortest among the movement that took place under Indian national movement. Okay? Quit India movement begins here on 9th August. This is the beginning. Its nature was massive, and it was largely urban movement. So many cities across British India were involved in this urban movement, and a huge number of people also got involved. A large number of labor strikes took place across British India. But mid August and onwards, we find a change in its character. Now we find a spread towards countryside. This means in this phase it was primarily an urban movement. But now we find a spread towards countryside. And in this phase, the peasants emerge as a main pillar. In this phase, students emerge as the main pillar of the movement, and they continued to play significant role. In this phase, peasants emerge as the second main pillar of the movement and continued to play important role. But at the same time, the Britishers, and this was the period when the Second World War was going on. The British government in India, using the wartime powers, began to suppress the movement. And because of the heavy suppression, what happened? The movement underwent underground. That is, end September. The movement became underground movement. So what was the factor behind the movement becoming underground? The British suppression and oppression. All right. This is the phase, this phase, last phase I am talking about, when the people struggle secretly, sometimes during night time, sometimes in the isolated places. Maybe you have heard of certain important event like Congress Radio, maybe you have heard, established by Usha Mehta. So Congress Radio was established, that was a part of underground movement. Whose name was Voice of Freedom. Maybe you have heard about guerrilla struggle at Bihar. Some of you are from Bihar also. At Bihar-Nepal border, under the leadership of Jayaprakash Narayan. That is a part of underground movement. Guerrilla struggle. Maybe you have heard of formation of national parallel government at certain places, Satara, Balia, Gazipur, etc. They were formed earlier. The national parallel government, mainly formed in the second phase. Some of them continued to work in this phase as well. And being underground movement, finally it subsided by early 1943. So see, this is intra-topic. The entire Quit India movement through timeline. And timeline is what? One more you can add. Here the background. I mean, that led to the movement. Beginning 9th of August, urban movement. Mid-August 42, I mean 9th August 42, mid-August 42, spread towards countryside. End September 42, becoming underground movement, and eventually subsided by early 1943. So the entire background till end. As I have been saying, these kind of timeline diagram keep on drawing wherever possible. It's one very important aspect of very good answer. I will discuss this also in answer writing classes later. But meanwhile, I am giving you the idea. So I hope through this example you understand intra-topic. Want to click? But under intra-topic, one more I have presented, that is micro issue. That is a very small issue could be there within a topic, but that could be also covered through timeline. One topic normally you study popular one. In fact, I am trying to pick up some popular topics so that all of you understand a better way. Indo-Islamic architecture. This you study under Mughal architecture, architecture under Delhi Sultanate, etc. Okay. Now, when you study Indo-Islamic architecture, one aspect of Indo-Islamic architecture is arch. Just one aspect. Many aspects are there. We can consider arch as a micro issue, a very small issue. You might be thinking now, related to arch, how timeline? So arch is simply you write, okay, arch is this and arch was one feature, and but here also timeline is there. See? You know, I think very well that the Indo-Islamic architecture developed under the Sultanate of Delhi. I mean, Delhi Sultan began this, and then this evolved further, and this kept on evolving till Mughals. Very simple, right? And arch was one very important aspect of this. One aspect. There were many other aspects. Initially, the arch, what was constructed was corbelled arch. Corbelled arch is not a true arch. It is a sham arch. Okay. One technique is there, what we call corbelling. Corbelling is placing or putting pieces of stones or bricks in a horizontal course, this course, and creating an arch. See, this kind of. I'm making a working diagram of, a rough diagram of arch. So what I've said is, corbelling is a technique placing stone pieces or brick pieces in horizontal course. Horizontal course is this. There is stone or brick pieces in horizontal course. You can make it smaller also, suppose. This way it becomes a small. But in any case, they're all putting in horizontal course. Such arch is known as corbelled arch. This kind of arch was constructed in India before coming of the Turks. I mean, before the foundation of Delhi Sultanate. Okay, reason was that initially the architects who were well versed in making true arch that was constructed in the Islamic world, those architects were not available in India. Later on, those architects brought, result was what? There was a shift. Corbelled arch to a new kind of arch, what we call true arch. What is a true arch? See, through one diagram you can understand. You can understand simply through what I am drawing. See, this part is not arch. Arch is this. Arch is what? Curved structure that holds weight. So this part is arch. See, horizontal courses. But don't you think if you compare this and this, what is the difference you find? First you think, do you find a difference? Here the brick pieces or stone pieces are not in horizontal course. These are wedge-shaped blocks. These wedge-shaped blocks are known as voussoirs. All I mean 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. So 11 voussoirs are there. This means these are arch based on the technology using voussoir. Pronunciation is voussoir. Voussoir. This is I. And see the central part of the voussoir. This is known as central stone. It is also known as keystone. This simply means there is a central voussoir. Now compare this arch and this arch. Arch holds weight. If pressure, apply some science here. If pressure exerted here, I mean similar level of pressure, and similar level of pressure exerted here, this will break first. Applying the science. Because here what will happen, pressure applied, this will be diverted this way. This is the true arch. You might have seen huge Indo-Islamic buildings based on arches. Arch plays the similar role what pillars play in the trabeate building, like see, pillar. What is the role of pillar and beam? This beam and this is pillar. So pillar and beam together hold the weight of this. The whole structure rests on this. If we use the arches, these both can be replaced. So whole weight is in the arches, but not this kind of, because this will collapse. This is very strong. Okay, this is the true arch. Now, during Delhi Sultanate, this was in the very initial phase, then the true arch came to be constructed. And I am making the shape. Arches could be circular arch, pointed arch, different types are there. Since the pointed arches were constructed, that's why I am also drawing pointed arches. So a variety of pointed arch emerged under the Khaljis, what is known as horseshoe type. A variety of this emerged what is known as horseshoe type. Under Khaljis. Then what happened? Under Tughlaqs, a variety of this pointed arch, a new variety of this pointed arch emerged, what is known as four-centered arch. Under Tughlaqs. Okay, this is a variant of the pointed. Difference is what? Your four centers are there, plus a span is wider. A span is this. This is a span. If it is wider, see, I am drawing here. The four-centered arch. Four centers are and this is also true arch. And this became the norm. This became the feature of the Mughal architecture also. So what began under Tughlaqs became a general feature till end. But one more development took place, that is under Shah Jahan. That is in grilled arch. This is also known as multi-foiled arch or cusp arch. This is like this. You might have seen this kind of arch. Have you seen? This is a new variety that emerged under Shah Jahan. If you have a look at the arches in the Taj Mahal, building the Red Fort, that is like this, in grilled or multi-foiled or cusp, C-U-S-P-D. And this is true arch. and see keystone or central bourgeois. So this is timeline. See how? It's phase 1. 2. 2 under Khalji. The first under Ilbari. I mean first dynasty. And this became common under Khalji. But the first building where we find the true art, that is here, Balban's tomb. This is the first building where we find true art, but that is in this phase. So first example of true arch here, but became common here. And again phase 3, the horseshoe type. Then phase 4, the 4 centered arch. Tughlaqs on what? Still Mughals. And then finally under Shah Jahan, phase 5. Getting? Think one more thing here, as I have been discussing. The way questions are occurring in prelim and main, this kind of in-depth knowledge is required. One advantage you understand. Second advantage is when you use this kind of knowledge in your answer, this will improve your marks. Many a time our answer is very simplistic. We consider it's a very good answer, but that's not a good answer. So we end up getting poor marks. Maybe before this discussion, you never thought like arch could be like this. And so many things are there and we have to write them in the answer. But earlier the way you wrote and now the way you will be writing, that would be entirely different. And this makes a difference in the mark. One candidate writing in a simplistic way, the way you used to write earlier, and the second candidate writing on arch this way, there's a world of difference. So how variation in marks, I hope you understand. Okay. Plus these kind of working rough diagrams you can draw in the exam also. Because when you write true arch somewhere in your answer, just don't write true arch. Draw this, mark Vuswa, mark central stone, key stone. Examiner will have impression that you have in-depth knowledge here. Because you can write true arch by cramming it. You can draw this only when you understand this. I hope you understand. You can write by cramming, corbelled arch was there. But you can draw this only when you have in-depth knowledge what is corbelling technique. So here also you will be mentioning that placing stone pieces or big pieces in the horizontal course. Is it okay? You want to click? So this is example of a micro issue intra-topic. Ilbari. Okay, this should be E-L. Ilbaris. Ilbaris were the Turks. The first dynasty we normally call Ilbari dynasty or early Turks. Second dynasty was Khalji. This is the second one. Is it all right? This is also okay. And the sixth one is facts into timeline. Here also I want to give you one idea. What is that? That when you prepare, you come across many facts. Okay? So everywhere or wherever possible, convert this into timeline. Fact. Converting that into timeline. Take one simple example. Suppose it was British conquest of Bengal. All you know, Battle of Plassey, Battle of Buxar and all. Okay? So one fact is there. We are taking one example. British conquest of Bengal. Here. Okay? So here consider first fact. So first fact is that British conquest of Bengal began with the Battle of Plassey. Okay? The British victory in Plassey 1757 marked the beginning of British conquest of Bengal. Very simple. So this is a fact. Now we are converting this into timeline this way. 1757. Battle of Plassey. The forces of East India Company, British East India Company, under Clive defeated Bengal Nawab. So is the fact. Now, second fact you come across. That Clive emerged victorious here, of course through diplomacy. Second fact with respect to British conquest of Bengal is that Clive defeated the Dutch in the battle that is known as Battle of Bedara. And in this battle, the Dutch were supported by Bengal Nawab, where Bengal Nawab had become sick of the exploitation by this officials of British East India Company. This is the second fact. Converting into timeline, 1759. Battle of Bedara. Clive defeated the Dutch. So Dutch influence came to an end in Bengal. Now third fact. Since the Bengal Nawab was not in a position to fulfill the demands of the British, now British wanted a new Nawab, and that new Nawab was Mir Qasim. So the British signed a treaty with Mir Qasim in order to install Mir Qasim as a new Nawab. That is a third fact. Converting now into timeline, 1760. Treaty with Mir Qasim. By this treaty, Mir Qasim was installed as Nawab. The British thought that the Mir Qasim could be used as a puppet, but this did not happen. Mir Qasim began to assert himself. Result was, he was removed from the Nawabship, 1763, and conflict began that led to Battle of Buxar. So next fact, Battle of Buxar, converting into timeline, 1764. 1764, Battle of Buxar. Here the British defeated the combined forces of Bengal Nawab Mir Qasim, first while Bengal Nawab Mir Qasim and Awadh and this fugitive Mughal Emperor Shah. So three forces were defeated. It was a big victory. After this victory, now another fact. Mir Qasim was in 63 replaced by Mir Jafar. Earlier Mir Jafar replaced by Mir Qasim. Again Mir Qasim replaced by Mir Jafar, but Mir Jafar died. Then his son was installed as a puppet Nawab. Okay, and a treaty was signed with his son. So next fact. 1765. February Treaty. And then again a treaty. It was more famous treaty. 1765, same year. August Treaty, in which Shah Alam was also involved and Awadh was also involved apart from Bengal. This was the famous Treaty of Allahabad. Bike line. And next fact, last fact is what in British conquest, that the office of Nawab was abolished by the British finally. So next fact, 1772. Abolition of office of Nawab. How many facts are there? 1, 2, 3, 4, 6. 5, 6, 7. All we have converted into a timeline. Was British conquest of Bengal. So this 7 facts converted into a timeline. First this happened, then this happened, this, all the major events. Till 6, company was de facto power. One, 2, 6, company was a de facto power in Bengal. Power in practice. But after abolishing the office of Nawab, company became de jure power, power in principle. Now here, company became de jure power. Some historians have used the term revolution for certain events. Bengal Revolution. This is Bengal Revolution 1. Bengal Revolution 2. Bengal Revolution 3. So some British administrators and historians have used the term Bengal Revolution. They say Plassey was a revolution. Treaty with Mir Qasim was a revolution. and victory in Buxar was a revolution. In what context? Because these three events brought about tremendous changes in the status of the company in Bengal. So revolution. Okay. Now, with respect to this, what is accepted? That yes, this brought about a basic change in the status of the company. Company was a trading company. From trading company, it became a de facto power. It brought about a change, basic change in the status. De facto power status was strengthened. But this does not constitute any revolution, because this did not bring about any basic change in the status of the company. New Nawab was installed. This was not a new thing. Earlier also, Sirajudollah replaced by Mir Jafar. Now Mir Jafar replaced by Mir Qasim. This was nothing new. Some trade privileges they got, nothing new, they had got earlier also. Some gains, not new, those gains were earlier as well. So in general, it is considered that revolution of 1760 was in fact no revolution. Now consider the process. British conquest of Bengal was not an event, rather a process that began in 1757, ended in 1772. So when you read book, you will get fact. Suppose you get a fact, Plasi. Then after you get Bedara, this. Convert this into this way. This will make it faster and more effective. Plus, this will serve handy in revision as well, both in prelim and main. Plus one more thing. The same thing you can use in answer if possible anyway. Alright. So this is the example. You want to click? So this is the example of the last one. Facts converted into timeline. I've discussed all the 6. Now finally, what is the takeaway? What is the lesson? Whenever you read any book, notes, anything, they try to be particular about the timeline and keep on creating this on your own in your notes. Is it okay? Plus keep on contemplating also that how you can use them. I have given you the idea. In the classes also, so many timelines will be there. So that will also give you further idea, but I think you have got the idea. And this will help you in faster revision. Once done, it becomes very effective. Okay? Plus the same you can use in your answer also. So for that also, the contemplation is required. That in what answers you can use what timeline diagram. This means one very important lesson is there, that a very effective preparation for civil services exam is just not reading. Reading is no preparation. It involves a lot of brainstorming as well. It involves creating so many innovative things as well. It involves creating smart things that can serve you in more effective manner. Is it fine? So this is all about today's aspect. I have said that there are certain crucial aspects in the preparation of history optional subject. Before starting the topic, all the crucial aspects should be very much clear to you. And if we imbibe it in a better way and use it, eventually you will realize that how beneficial this would become for you. So first aspect we have discussed, that is the importance of timeline. Alright. You want to ask anything here? Anyone, anything? So in every class before 4th, we will have such discussion. Alright. So in the next one, then we will pick up the second crucial aspect. Then third, we will pick up one more crucial aspect. So 4 or 5 crucial aspects, if they are covered, I mean before we start the topic, so you have a very broad idea. It's a kind of awakening. And after that, when you start working on the topic, I think you will be very comfortable. Okay? Alright. So that's all for today's lecture, and next we will be meeting on 27th, a day after tomorrow. We have alternate day lectures. So 27th we will be meeting, and 27th we will have discussion on again the another crucial aspect. Okay? You just wait for 2 minutes.